It's not always that a college basketball player casually measures over 7 feet and puts up insane stats. But Zach Edey with his 7'4" stature surely made headlines before his team, the Purdue Boilermakers, were sent crashing from March Madness by the 16th seed Fairleigh Dickinson Knights in the first round of the series tournament. And that is pretty much all she wrote. Because no amount of National Player of the Year trophies can guarantee the idea that you will be a clutch player or somehow manage to be magically compared with one of NBA's upcoming generational talents, Victor Wembanyama. So the question still stands. How good and NBA ready is Zach Edey? And is he really comparable to Victor Wembanyama? Going into 2023, Zach Edey's draft stock began to rise, and people as well as draft analysts began to take notes of his exploits at Purdue in his junior season, posting numbers as high as 22.3 points per game and 12.9 rebounds to go with his 2.1 blocks per game. This big man was touted to be a surprise package in the NCAA and expected to lead Purdue after Jaden Ivey's departure as the star man. Why a surprise package? Well, it's because exceptional height often limits the skill set of a typical ball player, and experts were doubtful about how Edey's natural characteristics could impact his overall game. And this is where the comparisons with Victor Wembanyama get a little bit interesting and, quite frankly, a little bit ridiculous. Because barring both players sharing a similar height, with Wembanyama listed at a mighty 7'3", there is very little that is common between the two players. Despite the kind of accolades that Zach Edey has won in recent months, which include Player of the Year trophies by Associated Press, NABC, USBWA, and Sporting News, who named him Player of the Year. And in addition to these, Edey has also won accolades like the Pete Noel Big Man of the Year Award and the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Award, the latter doled out by the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. And more recently, he won the Wooden Award, becoming the first Canadian to win it, and the first Purdue player since Glenn Robinson to win the honor. Wowee! Now that is a trophy cabinet that would make anybody jealous. But why do these awards not matter much? Surely they must hold some gravity for a player this loaded with titles and accolades. Well, while these awards certainly mean a lot, their significance starts and ends at college ball. Because you might be the next best thing playing around others your age, but the NBA is a whole different world. Which is exactly why that despite all the hype, Zach Edey is still considered at best a second-round pick or a late first-round pick in the 2023 NBA draft. While Victor Wembanyama is projected to go at best number 2, if not number 1. To analyze the main reasons why, despite him sharing physical similarities with a generational prospect, and yet why he won't go hotly projected for the draft, let's look at it from 2 angles. How Zach Edey plays at the college level, including some of his best skills, and how a size advantage may not be enough for him. Now, as per Purdue Sports, Zach Edey is the first NCAA player to ever record at least 750 points, 400 rebounds, 70 blocks, and 50 assists in a season, ranking 6th nationally in scoring, 2nd in rebounds, 19th in block shots, and 21st in field goal percentage, and the only player in the NCAA database to rank in the top 25 of all 4 categories in the same season. What is, however, concerning is that all these stats are achieved in his junior year at college, which for sure highlights a growth from his 8.7 and 14.4 points per game in his freshman and sophomore seasons, but isn't enough to convince the scouts about him showing the same potential in the NBA, which despite his size and stature, could actually be a problem. Zach's skills include some neat work around the rim, where he is known to excel because of his size and boast of a great postgame, making him a good scorer in the paint. And while he is an exceptional rebounder, he is also efficient in scoring with a 60.7 field goal percentage and is known to draw fouls as well. But it is that excellence around the rim and the occasional dunk that pretty much limits him, as this ties into the second reason of his NBA readiness, because Zach weighs over 300 pounds and plays at center, which if looked at in isolation sounds great, but the moment you put it into comparison is when things look a little shady. While there has been no shortage of NBA players who have dominated the game in recent years, such as Joel Embiid and Nikola Jokic, who are locked in for MVP honors, or centers who have historically been drafted as top 5 picks or even number 1, such as Anthony Davis in 2012, Karl Anthony Towns in 2015, or DeAndre Ayton in 2018, there is one thing common between them all, which is a versatile skill set, except for their postgame. And while we're at it, let us know who your favorite NBA center is from the last 10 years that has dominated the game in the comments section below. Hit the like button on this video and subscribe to our channel for more interesting content. Hit the bell icon to ensure that you get the notification at the earliest when we upload new content. Now, back to the topic. When we talk about centers that have made an impact in the NBA or have been drafted highly, their skill set also comes with the fact that nearly none of them weigh over 300 pounds, barring some exceptions. This becomes a problem for players like Zach Edey and make him an anomaly, as highlighted by multiple publications, because his size size can put him at a disadvantage beyond the paint, causing him to be slow in transitions and impacting his overall mobility, and causing him not to defend properly against players with speed. And with him already posting low numbers from three-point range, his skill set doesn't readily make him an offensive threat from range as well. Simply put, a limited skill set, despite being a good one, coupled with his height and size advantage, is not going to be enough in the modern NBA, which is going in the direction of positionless, versatile, and shooting-oriented basketball, where despite being a big man, you need to skip the orthodox role and transition per the team's needs. It is because of these reasons why Zach Edey may not be the best fit among various NBA teams which are looking to rebuild around a young superstar or an overall young core. And his speed disadvantage can also limit his minutes, where despite his age being a huge factor to make a case for his longevity, he might just be utilized as a role player who can dominate on the ball for a team that is considerably some way into shaping its rebuild with a mix of veteran and young talent. Now, part of the reason why his comparisons with Victor Wembanyama also don't hold is because how Wembanyama is the exact antithesis of Edey. Wembanyama comes hyped for the 2023 draft at 7'3", with a wingspan of 8 feet, and despite doubts of his size, the 19-year-old has shown exceptional capability in the perimeter and paint. And despite not being known for a playmaker, he compensates for it by being a brilliant ball handler, who can also score, create opportunities for himself, moves quickly, and on the defensive end, manages to block shots effectively, putting up numbers as high as 3.1 blocks per game in the French league. See why we called him an antithesis to Edey? Exactly. Wembanyama might be skinny, coming in at just over 230 pounds for his size, but as a 19-year-old, you can surely expect him to continue improving his fitness in the coming years. How that will help him is also pretty clear once you start connecting the dots. That's because of him lacking raw physical strength, and he is still a good perimeter defender. Add his agility and quick feet to an improving physical stature, and you've got yourself a player for the ages in the NBA. Wembanyama is what people call a two-way player, though we'd like to dispute that term, since in a basketball game, you're expected to do both things, but what makes it fun is that he can do them both well, regardless of how well you judge versatility in modern NBA. Now back to Zach Edey and why his NBA stint may or may not be a problem. Since he just recently declared himself eligible for the NBA, but keeping all things considered, it can be surmised that he is of course still testing the water and may just be around to be back to Purdue for another year. But why? Because given his NBA prospects as a late first round or early second round, or even worse, a late second round pick, an NIL deal in the NCAA for a regular starter for Purdue may just be more financially appealing and tempting for him. And he would perhaps also love to right his wrongs and give Purdue another chance at national glory by progressing at least further than the first round in March Madness. For other players who are looking at the draft with prospects like Edey, staying in college for another year may not be the worst option on his plate, so don't be surprised if he does decide to come back, which is also evident from the fact that Edey himself has kept his options open to come back to Purdue after going through the process. So what's next for him? We will surely find out soon, but can he match up to the likes of Victor Wembanyama? Probably not, unless he has a miracle signing like the number 41 pick, Nikola Jokic, who is now a two-time NBA MVP. There have been anomalies in the NBA who have proven us wrong before and continue to do so. Giannis Antetokounmpo was drafted 15th, Marc Gasol came in 48th, Rudy Gobert was picked 27th, and so on and so forth. So there is still hope for Edey to look at these inspirational big men as examples for success who still made it in the NBA. Till then, stay tuned and watch out for more interesting content on this channel as we track the best and the brightest of the NBA. See you soon in our next video.